In the rotation.
All right, Jenks, let's start with one that we've kind of been following from a plus money standpoint. The Angels have been really good as underdogs in this series against the White Sox. Today, the Angels are plus 105, White Sox minus 125, total 7.5 runs. This is a 2 p.m. start, so make sure you get your bets in if you want to bet on this one. It's Patrick Sandoval, the lefty for the Angels, who's had a great season, has not given up a run so far in 15 innings of work, going against Dylan Cease, a strikeout pitcher for the White Sox, top 10 in strikeouts per 9, but 2-1 with a 3.27 ERA. So a couple of great pitchers here, and an Angels team that we know can rake. Meanwhile, the White Sox have lost 11 of their last 13 games. So, Jenks, where are you leaning?
I'm going to go with the Angels at plus money here. Feels like the wrong team is favored. I don't understand this money line. The Angels have won 7 of 8. The White Sox have lost 11 of 13. I know there was some concern yesterday because Shohei Ohtani left that game with a pulled groin or strained groin. He said he's fine. It was just a precautionary measure, and he's going to play today. I know Cease has been exceptional, but so has Patrick Sandoval. You mentioned those 15 scoreless innings to start the season. He also struck out 20 during those 15 innings. So for an Angels team that's playing so much better right now, I'm on LA.
I think I would lean towards the Angels, especially at plus money. This is the overall statement that I feel like we say every day on the show. If you can get a good team at plus money, you usually do it because that's a great way to get plus money on the card. And, you know, if you win, even better. But also, I think a total in this one, especially in the first 5 or even first 3. James, have you ever played first 3 inning bets?
You know what? I did not know you could play first 3 innings. I've never really looked for it. Is this something I've never done that before?
Yeah, it's great for guys who are electric the first time through the lineup. And Dylan Cease is kind of a guy like that, which the sabotage factor for Dylan Cease is sometimes he can give up some runs. He'll give up a home run or 2, but he also strikes out a ton of guys. So think about these type of pitchers. Usually it is tough for lineups to adjust early on. So looking at a first 3 total, it is 2.5, which obviously is pretty low, under at minus 140. I think that's where I'm leaning. You see 2 great strikeout pitchers. And sometimes it's usually in the later innings where the damage is done. So I think for me, that's where I'm leaning.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I think that's the right call. Let's do it.
All right, moving on to the AL East, where the Yankees short favorites minus 120 on the road to the Blue Jays. Total 8.5 runs. This is a night game. Yesterday, the Yankees beat the Royals 6-4, and Yankees, don't look now, are on absolute fire. I'm not seeing how many games they've won in a row, but they're a hot team. But going against another good team, Ross Stripling on the mound for the Blue Jays with a 3.60 ERA, has not recorded a win or loss. Jordan Montgomery going for the Pinstripes, 0-1 with a 2.70 ERA. Jenks, is there somebody you like here?
Yeah, I like the Yankees. I don't like the Yankees as a team. I'm not a Yankees fan, but I actually think this is a reasonable price for a team that's just playing such good baseball right now. We saw what Aaron Judge did over the weekend, just knocking the cover off the ball. And you mentioned Ross Stripling. He's faced the Yankees 5 times in his career. Winless 0-4, 4.50 ERA. Again, I have a futures ticket on the Blue Jays. We know how good they are, but it's not often you get a Yankees team at this price, even though, yes, I know how good the Blue Jays are, and I know that because of COVID protocol, there'll be some Yankees who maybe don't travel, but I'm going to roll with the Yankees in the way they're playing right now, take them at a short price.
I wonder which Yankees are not making the trip. I know, yeah, I want to say that Aaron Judge might be one of those. I am not completely sold or sure on that, but that is a huge part of their lineup, especially Anthony Rizzo. He's been really good for the Yankees. So I think that's probably why you see the number where it is at minus 120, because some of those guys are factored into that number. But I would lean towards the Yankees. It's a hot team. They're playing with a lot of confidence, and I don't have a lot of faith in Ross Stripling. I remember against the Red Sox, he was not very good against that lineup. Let's move on to the Braves and the Mets. This one's currently off the board. Starting pitchers here, Max Fried going against Chris Bassett, a good pitching matchup. Max Fried 2-2 on the year with a 3 ERA. Chris Bassett 3-1 with a 2.25 ERA. We've talked about this before. The Mets, one of the best teams in baseball, but every time I bet on the Mets, I feel like they lose. So I think I'm staying away from this one, even though it looks like the Mets are in a good spot here.
I like the Mets. I want to see what this line is when it comes out, but I think the money line will probably be, it's going to be similar to the Yankees, I think. It's going to be -120, -125. And again, I think you're just dealing with the better team right now, or the team that's playing better right now in the Mets. They won, 7 consecutive series, and they're second in the league in batting average. Their team ERA is third. Max Fried, I bet on him last time out. He had that great performance out in LA, came home, got rocked. I'm going to lay the short number with the Mets, Chelsea.
I would lean towards the Mets as well, just because we're seeing good things from their offense, because that was the problem last year. They would get these great performances from their starting pitchers, but they couldn't score any runs. But now the Mets are starting to scratch across runs. They scored 10 runs last night. So their bats are starting to get hot, and we know the pitching is normally pretty solid. So I would lean towards the Mets here as well. Coming up in 10 minutes, we preview a pair of game ones in the NBA Conference semifinals. I'm Chelsea Messenger. He's Michael Jenkins. This is the Daily Tip. So as you're listening to us, as you're driving to work, which is awesome. Well, on your drive home, you should be listening to You Better You Bet with Nick Costas and Kim Barkley. They give you the latest odds and insights before the games get underway. It's all on BetQL and all available on the Odyssey app. Well, guess what?
What?
Hockey playoff time is here. So, Jenks, guess what? We're giving you 60 seconds to talk about the NHL. So good.
1 minute minor.
It's a playoffs, and you jokers are still only giving me 60 seconds. That's a good way to make a man better. But I will get better. I'm looking for a winner tonight, Chelsea. Tonight, we're heading to Toronto. The Leafs taking on the Lightning, game one of their playoff series. Lightning even money. Maple Leafs -120. Total set at 6.5. I've mentioned I don't like playing 6.5 point totals unless I'm betting the under, and that's where I'm going tonight. I think we're going to see a classic pros versus Joes situation as far as the money is concerned. You glance at this game, you think, oh my God, look at all of the offensive talent on the ice. We're going to see a ton of goals. But this is playoff hockey. I don't expect to see many 6.5 point totals, which I think are left over from the regular season. These totals are going to go down. The Lightning are only allowing 2.81 goals per game. They've got one of the greats in net, and Andrei Vasilevskiy. The only worry here is Leafs netminder Jack Campbell had a mini slump, but got straight at the end of the season, and he is giving up, or his goals against average, 9.14 goals per game. As long as he doesn't falter, I like the under 6.5. Leafs and Lightning. -120 bet MGM.
Ooh, sticking to totals. I feel like you've bet on a lot of totals. How do totals change in the playoffs? Because I would imagine unders are probably hotter when you see better goaltenders, correct?
No question. And I think when you talk about playoff hockey, teams play tighter. And that's why you see, like the Bruins are a good example. They're not one of those teams that everyone's talking about right now because they don't have the, I guess they don't have the excitement around them of maybe an Avs or maybe a Panthers squad, but they're a great defensive team. They grind you. They're very physical. And that type of hockey translates really well in the postseason. And plus, teams just play tighter anyway, and officials in the National Hockey League tend to allow a little bit more. They allow for more a defensive type game. So right now, if you look on the board across the playoffs, you'll see, I think, 3 6.5 totals on the board, which is, for me, for playoff hockey, I'm not saying to bet them blindly, but I absolutely believe that those are going to come down as the playoffs go on just because of how playoff hockey generally works. And I think here is a classic example where I understand why it's so high, but the playoffs are different. So I'm going to go under here, and that's something I'll be looking at throughout the playoffs. We've seen that in the NBA too.
If I'm not mistaken, you usually are playing totals over on teams that are not very good. So this would be the opposite scenario, correct?
Yes, you've got two very good teams, but you also have two very good netminders. And when you think of, again, how playoff hockey is played, like the Lightning are a good example where you look at them and they have Stamkos and Kucherov and Hedman and all these guys who can score. But then you're like, oh yeah, they also have Andrei Vasilevskiy in that. And when you talk about guys who step up come playoff time, having a netminder who has been there, who has been in this situation, who knows what it's like to face exceptional offensive talent is key. Vasilevskiy is that guy, maybe more so than any goalie in the National Hockey League. And Campbell makes me a little nervous, but he's the one thing. If you're looking at a weakness on that Leafs roster, maybe it's him. But you can still see a situation where it's a 5-1 game and you still cash. So that's why the under is the play in this game. And that's why I think unders overall in the NHL are something to look at hard before those totals come down, because I really think they're going to, Chelsea.
I also think we should take the structure of the word netminder and apply it to other things in life. Like,
Okay.
I would like to be called the fridge minder of our house because
Okay.
nobody gets to the refrigerator through me. If my daughter wants a popsicle, no. You've already had 2 today, sweetie. I am the fridge minder of this household. Jenks, what would you be the minder of?
The booze minder. You want a drink? You got to come through me, buddy. It's the weekend. These belong to me.
Let's start calling bartenders booze minders.
The booze minder. Oh, just for the playoffs only. You're the booze minder.